Recording from now.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, it's 2 o'clock, and I think we can make an official welcome to everyone. So, hello. I know we've already said welcome, but we'd like to just welcome you again to this training. We're super excited because this is something that we do. You know, I've been doing trainings online probably every single day since all of this happened. So we're very familiar with this. I know for some of you, this may be new, a webinar style training may be new. Just a reminder, please mute yourself when you enter in. Catherine, would you mind muting yourself, Catherine? Or Vivian, can you mute her? I don't have the privileges anymore, so can you mute her on your end?
Sure.
Thanks. So just a reminder, everybody is going to enter into the training muted. We will have time later at the very end to unmute yourself so that you can ask any questions that you have that are relevant, or really any questions that you have, period, towards the end. But everybody will be muted just because we want to make sure everyone has a really good listening opportunity and we're not distracted. The second thing I want to make mention of is, like I said, I've been doing trainings pretty much every single day online, multiple times a day since this whole situation started. And sometimes, depending on what the internet is doing, sometimes things can go silent. Sometimes it can just cut out completely. So it really just depends on your internet connection, our internet connection, and we're going to be patient with technology. Technology is great when it's working, but sometimes, as we know, the internet has been inundated with so many people these days that it just cannot withstand certain things. So sometimes if it goes out, that's okay. Just come back. We'll be here. If you can't hear us, then let us know inside of the chat. And so I wanted to take care of some of that housekeeping. The second thing is to download your workbook. You should have gotten a link to downloading your workbook inside of your email. So we sent that out this morning inside of your email. So make sure you download your workbook. Follow along because it's going to be very helpful for you to take some notes during this time. We will be sending out the replay, or GMCVB will be sending out the replay to this training so that you'll have access to it. But it's always better to participate as we're going along, so we encourage you to take as many notes as possible, and the workbook is there for you. Okay, Viv, I will pass it along to you.
Fantastic. So just to remind you, if you do have any questions, we will stop periodically throughout the presentation to answer questions, and you can ask questions throughout this entire presentation in the chat. So you please go ahead and do that.
All right. Let's introduce ourselves. Let me go ahead and I'm going to turn on my camera. Viv, do you want to turn your camera on so that we can say hello?
Yeah.
You also have the privileges to share who's talking. So can you, or if people can see us. I don't have the hosting privileges anymore, so you'll have to do it on your end.
Okay, hold on one second here, and I will give the floor to you. Oh, I'm looking at myself.
Because I know that sometimes without, you can give me the hosting privileges back if you want, and then I can do it on my end.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
That way, because I know sometimes, we are stuck inside, as all of us are, but we still want to make sure that we're making connections. So if you can see, you should be able to see it depending on how you have the view on your screen, which is fine. But I'm Dr. Tracy Timberlake, one of the co-founders of Flourish Media. This is what we do. We are very used to doing online trainings for people. So for us, it's kind of business as usual, but we recognize that a lot of people, this is a new space for them. So we are super excited to be bringing you this training right here. Vivian, if you want to hop on and say hello, then you can.
Yes, so I want to say hello to everyone as far as being here for this presentation. Tracy, can you see me?
I believe see you, yes.
Fantastic. So when we're going through this presentation, it's a great opportunity. We've had our business operating for many years, and we've always worked from home. This is a normal for us, but it's never quite normal to have everyone in the world also working from home. So what we're going to share with you today are some of the things that come to mind, not only for our clients and customers who are making this transition, but best practices that we've been using for several years. So we do know that these things do work for you because our team is actually located in 5 different states. So you're going to find this very, very useful.
Yes. The audio is not fuzzy on my end. Stunna has typed in the chat. So the audio is not fuzzy on my end. I was able to hear Vivian just fine. Vivian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so we have microphones attached to, we're not just using, plain audio on our computer. We actually have headsets for this. So you should be able to hear us just fine, Senna. It could just be your, like I said, the internet connection that you have. I can hear Vivian just fine. She said she can hear me just fine. So I'm thinking that it could just be, your internet connection, which happens. But if you can't hear us or if something cuts out, the recording should pick it up if you need to come back and hear us. Is there somebody from GMCVB that wants to hop on and say hello? Is that something that they said they wanted to do?
I do see that Petra's in the room. Petra, would you like to speak? I'm happy to give you, or we'll give you
can
privileges.
Just pop onto your, yeah, all you have to do is just unmute yourself, Petra, and then you can share your video if you'd like.
Thank you very much, ladies. Good afternoon, Flourish Media. Good afternoon to our virtual friends, small businesses that are out there. My name is Petra Brennan, and I'm the director of our Tourism Business Enhancement Initiative. And we are really elated that we are able to do this for many of our small businesses. The work we do in our multicultural department speaks to this effort in really connecting our small business, not only in the hospitality industry, but really helping them with capacity support so that they can grow. Now, as the ladies said before, these truly are unprecedented times. And what we want to ensure that happens as we continue these couple of weeks and months is that as a small business, you are connected to the different resources and that you are able to navigate through these various virtual platforms that are currently being inundated in your emails, inundated on the television, so that you can stay connected in your various business spaces. Many of you have gotten so creative in your different services as service providers. And now, how do you get that word out about your innovative ways of doing businesses? So ladies, thank you so much for putting this together. And I know that we're going to get a lot of questions, and as well as GMCVB is there to help our small business connect and also get through this process the best way that we can. Thank you very much, ladies.
You're so welcome. In the chat, Sheena said there's no sound. So there is sound. I know that people are able to hear us. Sheena, what you may want to do is just turn the volume up on the device that you're using. Or you can just make sure that the right audio, you have the right audio interface, depending on what kind of, if you're using a headphone, if you're using something like that, you may want to try. But I know that there is sound. I can actually see the microphone moving. So there's sound. I've been able to listen to Vivian. We all heard Petra. She was able to come on loud and clear. So this is technology. This is how it works. Sometimes there's sound, sometimes there's not. We just kind of roll with the punches to make sure that we can do the best that we can. But if there is no sound and it cuts out for you, then let us know. We'll try to make adjustments. But so far, I think we've been okay. All right. Are we ready to get started, Viv?
We are ready to get started, and I want to remind all of you all that we are recording this session, so GMCVB is going to share this with you, so you'll be able to look at this again and be able to reference it. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and download your workbook. The workbook was sent to you through an email blast, and then it was sent again through our direct email system, so you would have received it twice, and you want to download that so that you can follow along and also make notes, because we're going to be giving you some really actionable things here today.
Right. Okay, well, let's get started. Welcome to the training here. This is the Small Business Continuity Resource Webinar amid COVID-19. I think all of us have been affected in one way or another, even if it's just, hey, you're having to work remotely and you're not used to doing that. Or maybe you've had to transition to a digital strategy a little faster than you would have liked. Hopefully this is helping you. We know that it's not necessarily the easiest thing for everyone to be doing at this time, especially when there are other factors involved. Everyone's at home right now, your children, your spouse, and so that makes things a little bit challenging. Hopefully this training will help you kind of navigate through some of those. So you're here because you've been affected by the shelter in place, social distancing mandates, and need help integrating your business into a digital one. You have employees working from home, like meaning that you own the business or you are the leader of a business and you need to understand how to better lead in a system in this time. Or you're just completely lost, overwhelmed, and frustrated, and you have no idea where to even begin. Whichever one is you, that's fine. We are here to help you. That's what Flourish Media does, and Vivian will explain a little bit more about us.
Yeah, so Flourish Media is a marketing collective. We operate with small businesses and nonprofits to help them speak clearly to the audiences that mean the most to them. Some notable things that we've been able to do in the past is we've worked with the Jamaican soccer team for the World Cup. We've worked with Digicel. We've done work with GMCVB for the last 2 years. We've been doing a workshop on social media marketing. And a big part of what we talk about is being able to use every piece of technology that's available for you to be able to communicate with your audience, to communicate with your team. And what we're doing today is being able to break down those facts so that you can do that. So if you all could write in the chat, tell me, how many people do you have on your team right now who are working from home? When COVID happened and you needed to adjust your business, how many of us have a team working at home? So for Flourish Media, we have a team that spans up to 13 different people who are all working, like I said, in 5 different states. So now that you're not going to your place of business, I would like to know. So put it in the chat. Are you still working from home, or are you able to go to your place of business? We'd love to know why. So we're here to help. We want to help you navigate the online world because it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally to many people. So please eliminate any judgment. There's no guilt here. This is not something that you're supposed to know how to do. It's an adjustment for everyone. So we're very happy to be here to help you to be able to navigate this new space.
So our goal here is to help you transition well, and hopefully we bring up some topics that are either new and you didn't even think of, or things that you have been thinking of but you were just unclear on how to get it done. So we do this a lot, and we've been working at home for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's not new to us, and we recognize that, but we also know that for a lot of people that we serve, these can be challenging times because of the transition. The webinar is going to teach you how to work from home, of course, which we keep talking about, prepare your small business for a digital communication strategy, and then maintain business normalcy in this unprecedented time. So in the chat, we have Camilla was already working from home, which is awesome. Leah already working from home. So this may not even be something that you glean a ton from, but maybe some things that you can think about for those of you who are already working from home.
Michael here has 13 boat captains that are now going to be working, and they're having some virtual experiences. And we have some teams here. Michael or Michelle.
That's Harold.
Oh,
Harold has 13 boat captains.
Harold has the 13 boat captains. Excuse me. Then we have a team working. Michelle is working domestically and internationally. So I'm glad that we have that here because we're going to talk about working with a team that are in different time zones. We're going to touch on that today.
And then, of course, we're going to end up with questions at the end. So that'll help you, in your next phases.
All right, so let's get started. Let's jump right into it. And I would, again, if you haven't downloaded your workbook, then you would want to do that now. So what is the difference between a hurricane plan and our COVID-19 plan? We here in South Florida are fully aware of what it looks like to change our business and make adjustments because of hurricanes or natural disasters. I don't think any one of us has been prepared or could foresee that there would be a pandemic that would put us out of our natural rhythm for an unforeseen amount of time. So let's look at the difference between a hurricane plan. And before we get too deep, put it in the chat. Do you have an existing hurricane plan? Do you have something in place when it comes to, okay, so we have yes, perfect. So you have an existing hurricane plan. When you're looking at being out of the office and you're thinking about how you can be affected by a hurricane, some of those things that you may take into account are not having access to the internet, having debris, communicating with your insurance. There are a number of different things that are in place when it comes to working in a hurricane environment. So that's the type of contingency and continuity plans that we're used to having. So you have no electricity, you may have no access to technology, no cell service, and your prep, you have a prep time of 2 weeks sometimes longer, and then you may have adjustments for another 2 weeks. So let's be clear, this is not a hurricane situation. So with COVID-19, the differences that we're looking at here And if we look inside of your workbook, we have some fill in the blanks, and I would like for you to fill in the blank as you're going through this, is that COVID-19 came to us really all of a sudden. It's an indefinite time frame. Every day we're getting new notifications about how long we're going to need to practice social distancing and sheltering in place. A number of businesses found out day after day, restaurants, those in hospitality, all of us here on this webinar found out day by day that we would need to adjust. But you still have access to the internet, and you still have access to your technology, and you have regular touch points. And the best part about all of this is that there are so many systems that exist for you and for us to be able to maintain our business and to continue to service our customers and clients.
And, you know, one of the things that, with regards to this being all of a sudden, you know, I was having some trainings with some of the teachers in our county, and many of them were just completely blindsided by this. Okay, school is now closed. And what they found is that they can't even go into the schools to get the tools or the things that they need to teach properly. And so when you have a pandemic, I think all of us are living in essentially a history book right now, because none of us have lived through a pandemic or even an epidemic to this magnitude. So making these adjustments, I think the first thing that you're going to need, of course, is the plan, but the second thing is understanding the patience that is required in this situation. Everyone is kind of starting out at ground zero. Everyone, even if you've been working from home, like Vivian and I, we have been working from home for a very long time, and I know many of you have as well, but even in our business, we've had to make adjustments and make accommodations for last minute trainings like this, for more clients who need our support. So our schedules have drastically changed in this season, because we need to show up a little bit differently, because we know that our particular skill set is something that is very valued right now, like just helping people get started. So if you don't have some of these systems up and running, even if you've been working from home already, it's a really great time to start doing so, and then recognizing that we're all starting on a very even playing field with regards to figuring out and navigating our situation here. All
We
right,
have
so
a raised hand here. Michelle raised her hand.
Do we?
Yep.
I don't see a raised hand.
Let's see. Oh, okay. No, excuse me. Sorry. Okay. It's where I had it set up.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, I do not see a raised hand, but later on, you know, we will open up the chats, like I said, and then you can raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself, or what have you.
All right. So working from home, we want to have a setup for success. So let's talk about it, right? When you're working from home, there are some things that need to happen, and this is logistics. Okay, and being able to make sure you have the right types of equipment. We already talked about the fact that we have headphones that have a microphone on it. So these are headphones that are designed for us to be in a loud space, a shared environment, so that you can still hear us clearly, and we're still able to communicate and be 100% present within a video call, a voice call, or sharing a call with someone. This is just one example of the type of technology that is going to become important to you as you are working and building out your space. So with your virtual access, the first thing that you want to do is to ensure that you have internet and that your team also has the right types of internet. We completely understand the decisions that small business owners have to make about your budgets and the things that you have as far as your materials. And when it comes to internet, we have seen so many times with business owners who have chosen to have high-speed internet in their offices, or they have access to it in their...
Hold on, Viv, you are muted. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
They may have access to high-speed internet in their shared workspaces, but now that you're at home, your capabilities might be a little bit differently. So what I would like to bring to your attention, and what we want you to keep in mind, is this may be true also for your staff and those vendors and different people that you're working with who are also at home, that they may not have the appropriate internet connection. And at this time, we encourage you to reach out to your internet provider, and inside of your workbook, there's a space there for you to actually make a list of the things that you would need to purchase or follow up on based on what we're going to share in these next couple of slides. So as you're ensuring your virtual access for your team, some of the things that you want to make sure that you do have are a computer, a laptop, a tablet, headsets like these. You can also use those headsets that may come with your smartphone device. You're going to need a printer, fax machines. Now, these are examples of materials that we use in our business, and you'll decide, are you going to provide this to your staff, or is this something that you would have them purchase on their own? So Leah says, when you can, you may want to share the brand of the headsets. Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem at all. I believe these are Bose. Yeah.
So she has a Bose one. I will share mine. I'm going to actually I'm going to go in and show you the video of this. So give me 1 second and I'll just stop sharing and then you can actually see. So what I have right here, and hopefully you can still hear me, but what I have, these are Logitech ones. I actually tried to go onto Amazon to see if I could find a link, but they're sold out. And that's something that you want to make note of when you are purchasing these things. There are other ones. These I used to buy these in bulk. Like I used to buy like 3 or 4 at a time and then just have them in my office, because I would, like I travel with them, and so sometimes I would, they're not the most sturdy, but they work really well, and they're not that expensive. So I think they're like $25. But I would keep one in my travel bag, I keep one in my office, and then I keep one wherever, I tend to be working. And what I found is that these don't exist on Amazon anymore, but they do have other options. And what we can do is make a note to just send a list of things that you can take a look at. So I'll make a note to do that, and then make sure that we have a list ongoing for you. So these are Logitech, but there are several different options. It's also a USB. This is obviously not this one, but it's USB, so it plugs into my computer. If you have a USB port on your computer, I like these better than Bluetooth ones, because sometimes, like I use AirPods, which is good enough, by the way, if you have AirPods, but they die, and when you're doing phone calls all day, you can't rely on them to be present with you all day. So anyway, that's what they are. So I wanted to share that with you, and then we'll go back to sharing our slides if I can find them.
And Leah, that's such a great question, and I'm glad that you asked, because it brings up one of the things that is noted in your workbook, is that when you're looking at the materials and equipment that you want to ask your employees to have, or your staff and team to have, and again, please really utilize this time to write it down in your workbook, exactly the things that you're going to put on your shopping list or on your request list for your team, because if you can purchase in bulk, that is what you want to do at this time. Because of the fact that we are all in this situation, not only us that have businesses, but also students from kindergarten on up are at home trying to use the internet in order to, navigate their regular everyday activities. So a lot of these items are sold out, where they used to be very easy to get a hold of. All right, so let me see if we do have some more messages in the group here.
Oh, I was just typing. So quill.com is a place that I use to buy bulk tech things. A lot of people don't know about it. Sometimes people do. So quill.com, you can also get like business credit, and it's one of the only places that will submit, your business credit line to Brooks or Duns and Bradstreet. Sorry, Brooks and Dunn. That's a country music artist. But to the Duns and Bradstreet. So if you're looking for business credit, that's it actually submits to them, and it increases your business credit. You can apply for credit for them, or you can just, of course, pay outright as you're going. But it's a resource that a lot of people don't recognize in business. A lot of people buy from Amazon Business, which is fine. But I know that Quill does report to Duns and Bradstreet if that's something that you're interested in.
And something else to consider when you're talking about purchasing equipment or asking your team to look into these things is that these are all tax deductible investments into your business. So don't get too bogged down with, oh my goodness, this is something else that I have to spend money on, because what's going to happen, and what we discovered years ago, is that some of the practices that you're finding that you're using at this time, you're going to find that a lot of them are very cost effective in the long run, and you probably will want to maintain some of the activities, especially if your team continues to be productive during this time with the right type of support.
Correct. Another thing I want to make mention of with regards to fax machines is I know that a lot of the times we have fax machines in our offices, and so transitioning that into a home space can be a little bit labor intensive because you have to call the people to build the phone line. It has to be specifically for fax. One of the things that you can also consider is doing online fax systems. There's tons of e-fax services that you can use if you don't want to build out the whole fax machine situation. I don't know that a lot of people use fax machines these days, but if you need to, there are e-fax services that are available. I know I use them in business when you need to fax something over or something needs to be faxed over to you.
All right, so inside of your workbook, like we mentioned, we recommend putting together a one-page document outlining your company's standards and practices in regards to working from home. So inside of your workbook, you'll see that we actually included a work from home, a sample work from home, so that you can see it. Tracy, as I'm talking through this, would you mind sharing the workbook so that we can look at those particular pages?
Yeah, let me pull up the workbook so that we can.
So as you're looking at this work, at it inside of your workbook, some of the things we want to bring to your attention is this is not legal. This is not legal advice. We are not a law firm. We're not qualified to do that. These materials that are shared with you are to be used for educational purposes as a reference point for yourselves, and any type of behaviors that come out of this sample, if it is used, are not the responsibility of GMCVB or Flourish Media. So inside of the workbook, you'll notice that you want to talk about the scope of your policies. So who does this apply to? In the sense of COVID-19, this is going to apply to everyone on the team, their ability to work from home. You want to outline what are some of the responsibilities on their end. And that talks about, how long are they supposed to be working from home? What are some of the hours, or what are some of their responsibilities as they're working from home? What a work environment looks like. That's why we've included space inside of the workbook for you to write down these things, because they should become a part of your policy so that others can see it. And so as you're looking through the policy elements, there's things like how long they will be extended, whether or not this working from home policy will affect their income. If you have staff that are on a hourly basis, for example, how they should be reporting their time. And Tracy, if you can scroll down to the next page there.
Okay.
Thank you. You'll be able to see here that when they're requesting different things, and then we have the time zone difference. So it's a good idea to take an assessment, especially if you have a team that's working domestically and internationally, to be, again, understanding, because this pandemic has really brought to the attention that we are all human, right? That we are all going through a lot of the same types of things. We're all affected by the situation. And it's a good idea to assess your team to find out what is going to be the best time for you to communicate. For example, for years, we would push ourselves at Flourish Media to have a Monday morning meeting because we're coming from a corporate environment, Dr. Tracy coming from higher academic, and several members of our team very accustomed to working in the corporate world. However, we found that for our team to be the most productive and for us to be able to get things done, we actually adjusted our hours maybe 3 years ago, where we are open on Tuesday through Saturday as opposed to being open Monday through Friday. And we have our meetings, our company meetings, we use Uber Conference, and we do that at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we have members of our team who are on Pacific time, so they're operating out of California. So for them, it's 7 a.m. So you want to take those things into account, have a conversation with your team, especially if you have a team that's working in different time zones.
Yes.
So there inside of your workbook, you'll see on the very next page, you have an opportunity to write down some of those things that are going to be important to you. If you know that you're going to make purchases like having a computer for your team, having tablets for your team, write those things down so that they know what the expectation is on their end, and so that you know what you should be accountable for on your end. Is there any questions as far as this policy before we move on? And you can raise your hand or you can write it in the chat. We're happy to answer any questions you may have about creating this policy.
And I also think while you guys are gathering your questions, you know, what I've found is that this is a great time, if you don't have one, to create a policy, but also to take a look at your existing systems and see what's working. I know a lot of you said that, you know, you did work from home already, your team was already, you know, teleworking. I know with the government, you know, I have a family that, you know, works at the Surgeon General's office, and they were talking specifically about what they're doing in the government, because a lot of them already telework, but what they're finding is there are just gaps in their communication processes, gaps, you know, because they're so used to, well, if I need to go in, I can talk to them over here. But now with everyone's schedule being different, you're gonna find some rhythms that don't really work in this situation, or you're gonna find different methodologies that probably are not serving the best. So don't be afraid to clean that up a little bit. And it's only going to serve your business, you know, in the long run as well. Any questions? If not, then we will move on to number 2, which is don't stop meeting. You know, it's very easy in this time to get caught up in the fact that, oh, I need to go to the store, my kids have school, I got to make sure that they're set up, and to neglect that, you know, you do have team members or you do have businesses to run. So working remotely still gives you access to your team members, right? So continue keeping regular business hours when possible, and we've already talked about that. Whatever regular business hours may look like for you in this transition. Don't be afraid to make some of those changes, like Vivian talked about how we went from Mondays to Tuesdays because it worked better for our team. If you need to do that for your team, because maybe Mondays everybody's kids are home, and so they have to really kind of rally them to school. And if you normally have staff meetings at Monday at 10, maybe you need to move them to Monday at 2. Or even Tuesday, depending on what, you know, your team members are looking like. But do keep regular business hours when possible. If you need to readjust, then you readjust and you communicate it. And make sure that people are aware on your team. But don't stop communicating, because I think in this season, the communication part is going to be one of the most critical parts to making sure that your business is still successful and you're still able to sustain business growth and business scale in this time. I hope that made sense. So some tech tools that you could, sorry, Viv, did you have something to say?
Oh, no, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah. So tech tools that can be used during this time if you haven't already. Now, we know that the phone is very easy to use, and that's fine. But when it comes to building out communications where it's multi-channeled or multi-people, sometimes a group text message just doesn't serve enough. And I'll give you an example. So for me at my church, we started off doing this in a group text message, and it always worked well because we had weekly staff meetings and we had multiple touch points throughout the week in person. But now with this, we can't do that. And doing just a group text message with 15 people simply was not sustainable, because people would message things in there and then you'd have to scroll up to go find it. It was a disaster. So what I did, because I operate as the arts and communications director, is I said, okay, we're going to move this entire chat over to WhatsApp. And so we use WhatsApp. We use it for Flourish, and now we use it for my church, because in WhatsApp, you're able to kind of reply directly to a particular message. You can send voice notes. It doesn't matter if somebody has an iPhone or an Android. You can star things that you want to go back to, so it saves it. And it's also searchable. So if you're looking for a particular message from somebody and they mentioned, you know, a 9 a.m. meeting, and you don't have to scroll all throughout the entire chat to find what the details are of the 9 a.m. meeting, you can simply go to the search bar and type 9 a.m. meeting, and then everything that mentions 9 a.m. meeting will pop up for you. So that's what we use, is a WhatsApp chat to talk to each other. Other tech tools, and WhatsApp is free, by the way, other tech tools that we mentioned here are Slack. Slack is a Microsoft tool. So if you use Microsoft and you're familiar with Microsoft, then it operates very similar to the way that WhatsApp works, where you can have everybody inside of a group. You can chit chat with each other. You can upload documents, pictures, send voice notes, do all of that. And there's also a way to access it on the computer as well as on your phone. And that's what I recommend, is if you're going to be using some sort of group texting situation, just make sure that people can access on a computer or on a mobile device. It makes it significantly easier when they are, you know, like typing and sending emails on their laptop. They can just get a little notification that there's a message from you or a message from one of the teammates. Of course, there's Microsoft Teams, also a Microsoft software thing that you can use, and these are not complicated systems, by the way. There are more complicated ones, but we tried to include the ones that are the simplest, easiest, and then hopefully free whenever possible. Video conferencing, we'll get into what video conferencing tools you can use. Right now, of course, we're using Zoom, but there are many other options there. Trello or Basecamp. Viv, do you want to talk a little bit about how we use Trello or Basecamp or Asana?
Yeah, so Trello, Asana, Basecamp, and all of these different technology tools are highlighted directly in your workbook. So you can click on the link in your workbook and it will automatically open up the registration page for you for the free option of these subscriptions. So Trello is a project management tool. It is essential to the way that we do business here at Flourish Media. What it allows you to do is to create different boards or cards so that you can know where a project is, who's responsible for it, and where they are in the process.
I'm going to give an example while you're talking about Trello. So I'll just show you the back end of a Trello, one that's not, like a private Trello.
Sure. You could want to show them the Flourish one or one. I
can show them. We're doing some interior design at a building, my church building. So I'll just show that because that's not.
Okay, so when you have a project management system, it allows for you to not have to talk to the person to know where they are in the process of their portion of the project, which is very helpful because when you're working from home, what can happen is that you get into a place where it can start to feel like you're micromanaging your team, which is not what you want to do. What you want to do is to have open communication, and you want them to know that they can communicate with you and they can get resources from you, but you don't want to feel like you're hounding anyone and you don't want to stifle their creativity. So if you look here in Trello, you'll see that we have to do, in progress, complete. So these boards, you can actually choose how they're titled. This is how I would recommend that you title a board, just because you're going to move it from across the board. So you'll see there that Dr. Tracy is creating a new board, and it says new slides. She's typing in that information and she can add the card. And what she can do then is put a description of what she needs from this project. This is what I would like to see from the project, and new slides need to be made for XYZ. So then you'll take this with all of the instructions for that project. You can save it. You can also add the members. So you'll put who's responsible for this particular thing. And this is great because Trello has an app location that goes on your phone. It also is useful on computers so that the person can actually look at their phone. They will get a notification on their phone telling them that there's something new that's done. Here, I can actually show you on my phone what that looks like. If you look right here, you can see that this is the Trello. That's the Trello app. And the notifications are there so that when someone is making any adjustments on Trello, the person who is responsible gets a notification. And now you, as the leader of that project, don't have to then double back and send them an email or anything like that. Trello is being responsible for that. Another part of that is that Trello will include a due date. So you can put a due date with a specific time and also when the notification goes out. So maybe you need to be notified a week before the due date or a day before. You'll add that, and the Trello will take responsibility of following up with the person and letting them know that this is due at this time and you need to make adjustments. Another part about Trello, which is really important when you're operating and working from two different spaces, is that you can write notes inside of Trello that have to do with that particular project, which is very helpful because sometimes everything doesn't require a long email. It's just, did you check up on this? Did you need to get, do you have this? You can drop files inside of here. Trello will allow any file up to 10 megabytes, which is quite large. So it's a very capable system. And these are the capabilities that it has for free. It doesn't cost anything at all. So it's very powerful. So this Trello system is similar to Asana. There's different ones that have different capabilities. However, this is a very powerful tool. It is free to you to use, and we highly recommend it because we use it every day.
And you can have multiple boards for multiple businesses, and it's also free to get started. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is Trello is actually a free tool to get started with. That when you want to upload videos and you want to upload larger files, then you'll begin paying for it. But it is free to get started, and so that's why we recommend it. And now I'm going to go back to our slides, and we will continue on with our discussion. All right, so let's get into, oh wait, I don't think we actually finished this. So that's video conferencing, Trello and Basecamp. And then of course, a place for you to house all of your documents. We use Google Drive. We find that Google Drive, one, is the most cost effective. And because most people have a Gmail, it's easy to access. People are familiar with Google Drive, and you can house all of your documents, all of your images, anything that you need access to right away. It saves space on your computer, so you don't always have to keep files there, or you don't have to have some sort of external file, as well as giving it, making it accessible for everybody on your team. So using it for that can be really beneficial. Dropbox is another one, which isn't as cost effective as Google Drive, but it's something that people use. And then there are other ones too, like Microsoft OneDrive. I mean, there are several different ones, but we find that Google Drive is probably the most popular and the most cost-effective, Dropbox being the second, and then you can move into some other ones. Viv, do you want to talk about Toggle or Focus Booster?
Well, with Toggle and Focus Booster, these particular platforms, I do want to note to you that it's highlighted inside of the workbook so that you can reference them. And all of these different platforms do have a subscription model where you can start at a lower level or free. And then as you're needing more resources, then you can add more resources. So for those of you who are in the presentation, have you used any of these programs? And do you have anything to add, or do you want to raise your hand or give your feedback about using Slack, Microsoft Teams, any video conferencing? We mentioned Uber conference, we mentioned Zoom. Have any of you used Google Hangouts or any others that you feel?
We haven't gone to the video ones yet.
Oh, excuse me.
Which we will in a second. But the reason why we're recommending these is because they are the most stable as well. There are several different ones. Like there's GroupMe, like there's so many different ways that you can connect with people. And here's some online conferencing tools that we're going to talk about here. Let me make sure I'm going to speed it. So online conferencing tools, Zoom is what we're using right now. As you can see, Zoom is also free to get started. You have Zoom up to 40 minutes with the free version, or you can pay, $15 to have it extended, $15 per month. Uber Conference, so we use that as well for phone calls, things of that nature. It's free to get started, but there's also a paid option. Google Hangouts, that's something that, is kind of hit or miss. It kind of depends on what you're used to using, but it is an option that's available and it's also free. And then of course there is Skype, which a lot of people are familiar with, but isn't as popular as Zoom right now. Now there are a lot of technologies, like there are people that are hacking into Zoom, getting into Zoom conference calls, because the hackers are bored right now. So and that's gonna happen with any piece of technology, honestly. So that's not like one is safer than the other. A hacker could get into any of them. But I've been using Zoom for years and it has worked well. I haven't had a hacker pop in. I'm also not talking about anything that's super private that a hacker can't pop into necessarily. But if you have others that you recommend, feel free to recommend them. We know that these are the most stable right now. And Skype is something that is available in most countries. Like we find that for international people, they do prefer Skype to the other ones because Skype is the most popular in international locations. But all available, all free to get started, and paid subscription options.
So one of the things I want to bring up about Zoom is that Zoom, the CEO of Zoom, and that's a company, they've started to make their platform available to students and teachers for free. And this is such an important thing because as we're moving through the conversation that you're having with your audience during COVID-19, is where can you remember the humanity in the customers and clients that you have, and where can you become a resource? Because while your business does serve a purpose, I'm sure there's a problem that you solve for your audience. people are going to remember how you handled this particular moment. Natasha's asking, can you stream live on Zoom using the free version on Facebook? It's a very good question.
You can, well, I think that you only have the 40 minutes. And I believe that with the streaming option, you do have to pay the $15 a month to let it go into your Facebook. And that's with Facebook groups, Facebook pages, and your personal Facebook account. And I highly recommend having that if you are an avid user of Facebook live streams. However, I will say this, that you don't need it if you're doing live streams on Facebook, because you can actually share your screen natively on the Facebook platform. So you actually wouldn't need Zoom necessarily unless you have a desire to toggle back and forth. Like if you want to toggle back and forth between your face and your slides, then you can use Zoom. But if you don't need to do that and you just want to do slides, then Facebook will actually allow for you to do that natively on the platform all by itself, and you don't need Zoom. How many participants can you have on Zoom? 100 with the free version, and with the initial paid versions, it's 100 people on at a time. That's not for the live stream. For the live stream, obviously, if you're streaming live on Facebook, then anyone on Facebook who is a Facebook user that follows you can be on, your live stream. But with like a chat like this or a training like this, you can have up to 100 people. There is a higher paid version. You'd have to contact their sales team, and I feel like it's like $55 a month, and you can have up to 500 people on at a time. Having said that, if you're wanting to use Zoom for like large webinars that do require more space, depending on what you're using it for. If you're using it for a presentation like this, then usually it's enough. If you want to do some sort of automated webinar system, then I'm going to recommend you do a webinar, like something that's designed specifically for webinars, like Webinar Jam or EverWebinar, because the platform is going to be better. You're going to have more you're going to have more tools available to you. You're going to have more ways to take a look at the analytics. Where Zoom, if you're doing webinars, Zoom doesn't give you analytics. It's really just used for like a meeting situation. So.
Yes, and some other social media platforms, and Tasha, since you brought up Facebook, LinkedIn does allow for you to go live on LinkedIn now. They added a video option sometime last year, and now they've added the ability to go live on LinkedIn as well. You have that same opportunity to go live if you want to broadcast information on Instagram. I think we've seen quite a number of people going live on Instagram that were never live before, which has been really great. It's a great tool.
And YouTube as well.
Yeah, you can go live on YouTube as well. Any other questions about video conferencing?
Or just to talk a little bit more about the live streaming situation, with live streaming, it's the platforms are sort of hit and miss. So if you're live streaming on Facebook, like we went live one Sunday on Facebook, and every church in America was going live on Facebook, and Facebook just kind of was not prepared for that. And so nothing was really working properly. And what I found with regards to video and live streaming is the most stable platform throughout this whole entire situation has been YouTube. And there are different ways that you can go live on YouTube. You can go live, you can set YouTube premieres on YouTube as well, which has been great in this season, because then that means you can upload it in advance, but it premieres, so it premieres just like a live video would. So if you're doing heavy video and you really want it to be solid and you don't want there to be any glitches, then I'm going to recommend that you use the YouTube platform for any sort of if it people need to hear this information, you want to make sure it's like webinar style, you want to make sure that everyone gets it and there's no glitches, then YouTube's going to be the most stable. Facebook, I think, is catching up, and they're working on their technology. I know that from their back end. They're working on it to make it more stable for live streaming. But if you definitely want everybody to hear it as is and you don't want there to be any glitches, then YouTube is going to be the bigger recommendation. They just have more infrastructure built for this sort of thing, for that kind of video.
And something to keep in mind, because one of the challenges that we've always heard from small business owners and from clients is kind of this need to present the top quality, best possible video when you're going live. And that, I want you to focus on the information that you're sharing. People care about the information that you're sharing, not so much the quality of the video. And something to keep in mind is that, for example, Facebook doesn't even have the capability to share something that's a 1080
Mhm.
1080p.
Right.
They won't do it because in order for it to work properly and the systems that they have on their end, they can't sustain a HD video live. So don't let that keep you back or prohibit you from participating in going live. And we'll talk a little bit more, quite a bit about social media as we move through the presentation. But when it comes to being able to do video conferences, staying in communication with your team, hosting regular conversations with your customers and clients, or being able to sustain your meetings, these are the platforms that we recommend most. Zoom, Uber Conference, Google Hangouts, if it's less than, I would say less than 10 people. When it gets to be,
Yeah.
when it gets to be even more than 7 sometimes
Mhm.
is too much for Google Hangouts. And then of course Skype if you're working with an international conversation.
Yep. Okay, we've already talked about some cloud software where you can host your things, so we won't dive into that too much. But if you have any questions, please let us know, because that's what the chat is for, or feel free to unmute yourself. But if your business is used to having some sort of intranet system, then you don't have access to the intranet if you are not, I'm saying intranet, not internet. The intranet system when you're not physically on site. A lot of schools have this, a lot of larger companies, and even some small businesses that are very techy have an intranet system where everything is held internally. But when you're not on site, like we said, you can't access it. You don't have the VPNs, you don't have the ability to get into that intranet when you're not physically there. So that's why we do recommend having things inside of Google Drive or OneDrive or whatever makes sense for your business.
So it's important that you have a collaboration type culture in your business. And again, we talked about this, that even though you're not in the same physical space, that it's having open communication that's productive is very important for you to be able to sustain your culture of your business. And again, we recommend using systems like WhatsApp, Slack, GroupMe. These are great to fill in those gaps because as you may already be working from home, but there are moments where because you know you're going to see the person in person, you may not fully explain yourself, or there might be something that they're not getting. And WhatsApp and Slack are very useful because remember that everyone is working from home, not only in your business, but quite really everyone is working from home. So that means that they may have their children, they may be taking care of an elderly parent, they might be taking care of their spouse. A number of different things could be going on, even to the point where someone might be using the restroom. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on that you probably cannot see because you're not sharing the physical space. So being able to communicate with WhatsApp, Slack, those types of technologies where the person can get back to you when it's a good time for them is very, very helpful. You'll find many times that your team, while they are very much present and able to communicate with you, sometimes a phone call is more destructive than it is helpful.
Mm-hmm. Right. And plus you having paper trails for some of this communication,
Yes.
paper trails, virtual paper trails can be helpful. Because then it's something for people to refer back to. If you're talking to them on the phone and they're trying to get their kids' lunch ready and all of that, and they have people in the background, they're not able to take notes as diligently as they may be used to doing inside of their office, having it written down somewhere can just make a world of difference when it comes to getting things done inside a business.
Yeah.
Step number 3, customer interaction and support. Now, if you have a business that has always had heavy customer support needs, please, please, please don't neglect that. Your ability to retain customer relations in this season is going to be critical for how you come out of this season and what's going to happen with your customers afterwards. So make sure that you're setting up channels of support for them using the tools that we've listed in the previous slides or that we've already talked about. For example, if you've had a storefront, I don't think there are many of you who do have this, but in case, if you have a storefront that requires people to come in and get support, like maybe you're a technology company, they have to bring things in, right? Or they have to make appointments with you to meet you in person. Maybe an online scheduling option is something that you can include. A lot of doctors' offices have been doing this, dentists' offices even, just for consultations, because those are simple things that really don't always require for people to go inside of the business to have the conversation. So they've set up channels. Therapists are doing this. A lot of people who are in counseling are setting them. So we have clients who are therapists and have private practices, and they can't physically meet with their clients right now, so they're just setting up online appointment tools for them to be able to communicate, set up appointments, and still get the support that they need. We do have a list of scheduling tools available to you. We also have a question from Harold, who is asking what's the advantage of things like WhatsApp versus just texting. So Harold, like I said, texting, if it's like a conversation between you and one person, sometimes that works just fine. But here's what I've found literally in this season. If somebody has T-Mobile and somebody has AT&T, those messages, like those text messages, there have been several times where I've had teammates who have texted me and the text message doesn't go through because we have different providers, because technology right now is a little bit out of whack. So that's one thing. If someone has an iPhone and an Android, sometimes those messages don't go through. Literally had somebody in a text message conversation send the same message 5 times. 3 of us had Androids, 3 people had iPhones. Everyone who had an Android didn't receive the message that the iPhone user sent because of just technology isn't working. However, in WhatsApp, which is more cloud-based, more internet-based, not server-based, it uses data, but not in the same way that text messaging does. In WhatsApp, everything has been able to go through. In any sort of like online platform messaging system, the messages don't get caught up. There's no bottlenecking. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that a lot of the times, if there's an ongoing conversation, like if, there was a time a couple of weeks ago where every minute, like I was getting a message from somebody on the team. And people are talking to each other too. So it's not, there's sidebar conversations within different text messaging that doesn't necessarily involve you, but like, in WhatsApp, you can tag the person that you want to speak to. So just today, somebody tagged me and 2 other people to discuss a particular issue with a food bank. So everyone else who isn't tagged, they don't necessarily need to read it and they can skip over, or they can continue to have whatever conversations they were having without us. If I wanted to star a message to go back to it later, like I starred the message because I can't read it right now or I can't respond, I starred the message. So later on when I do have time, I can go back to any message that I star, like it's like saving that message, and I can go back to it and answer it. You don't always have that ability inside of a text message. If it's a quick question, text messaging is fine. But again, even with quick questions, some of those messages aren't going through if you have a different service provider or if you have different devices. So that's why, just for communication's sake, using Slack, using WhatsApp can just be better for communication all around, because you're not going to have that bottlenecking or you're not going to have those hiccups, at least not as much. I hope that answered your question, Harold. Yes, and just like, with messages, like I know if you have a Mac computer and you have an iPhone, you can get your messages. But if you have an iPhone and you have a Microsoft computer or a Sony computer,
oh yes, that does
access.
Yeah.
Right, if you have a PC, you don't have access to your messages online. You have to physically be on your phone. Whereas with WhatsApp, you can go into the website WhatsApp, and then you can set it up so that you can get messages on your phone. Same thing with Slack and some of these online tools. Okay, Viv, do you want to talk about the scheduling tools?
Sure. So with scheduling, one of the major things that I think happened initially when we were practicing sheltering in place and social distancing is that a lot of meetings and things were canceled. And I think that what we're seeing last week and definitely this week is that we want to emphasize the importance of maintaining your schedule and continuing to meet with your clients and customers. And now you know the video conferencing tools that you can use. Again, to remind you, that's Zoom, that's using Uber Conference, Google Hangouts, Skype, all of those different things. But the other part of that is your calendar. What we're finding is that a number of different people use several different calendars. A lot of people use the Google Calendar. And what you'll want to do is have an online scheduling system, wherein before you may have had the person come into your physical office, or maybe you had a phone call with that person, and then you were able to physically schedule, or you had an administrator or something of that nature to schedule these things. what you'll want to do starting today, we highly recommend, is using an online calendar system so that your audience can schedule themselves.
And I'm going to show, while you're talking, I'm just going to bring up my Calendly so that I can show that.
And Andrea's asking, can you do WhatsApp on your computer? Just go to, oh yeah, you can.
Yes, let me show you. So let me show you that. I'm just going to show the back end of my WhatsApp so that you can see, because there's, I mean, nothing private right now, before we move on, so that people can kind of see what it looks like online. So give me 1 second. All right, so we'll go to Calendly in a second. This is my WhatsApp, so you can see what's happening inside of WhatsApp here. These are conversations that are ongoing. Nothing's private here. Even with Flourish, you can see. So even in Vivian had talked to Nicole, Vivian had talked to somebody else, you know, and we have just conversations throughout. So nothing is, you know, I'm sharing.
Yeah, nothing's sacred.
Private. Yeah, nothing's like super private about this, but I have multiple. So I have conversations with friends too. This one right here that you can see here. She is my assistant. She lives in the Philippines. So we communicate here. It's a much more stable platform for us. This is my church leadership. This is Flourish, obviously. And then, you know, a friend's wedding. I mean, I'm showing you back end of things, but this is it. So, and I'm using this on my computer as well as on my phone.
Yeah, so Andrea, you can see that she can see her entire conversation online and on the phone. And if she had a tablet, you could put it on your tablet as well. So you can see it in real time on all of the different devices, which is really helpful, because there's times where someone sends you a message and you actually need to copy that and put it in an email. Or for us, we may need it for a landing page or for a piece of marketing material, and we can get it, you know, right away. We're not trying to play telephone, quite literally trying to remember what the person said on the phone, but we can actually reference it. And this is so key, because these are the types of gaps that develop when you're working from home, when you have a team. Because imagine the person had the conversation with you, but maybe your child was running through the room, or you were having a conversation with with your internet provider, or any number of things could have happened. And now you need to report to your team, and you forgot something, or there's something you missed, or it was totally wrong, and you don't have anything in writing to reference it besides your own memory. And I don't know about the rest of you, but day by day, I can't remember things. I would prefer that it's written down. So
exactly.
So these are all very good reasons to use a WhatsApp, a Slack, or something like that to supplement your conversations. And also, we haven't really talked about it, but there is such thing as voice notes inside of WhatsApp, because sometimes you don't have the flexibility to type. You can hold the record button and record what you're saying with your voice, and you can share that voice note the same way that you would copy and paste a written message, which is very powerful. I remember we were working on several projects where many of us were in different parts of the world. Actually, we were in 3 different countries at the same time. And it was very helpful to have those voice notes because it moved very quickly. So
and you can also share video too. You can either like talk via video. It's also, you can call somebody. If you wanted to call a person, you can call them on WhatsApp using that, because a lot of people in international locations use WhatsApp to communicate with people in the States. But just yesterday, we were having a conversation inside of my church leadership, and there were so many questions that eventually somebody just got on and just did a video. They're like, here's what I mean, just to communicate everything, because sometimes writing it out takes too much, but making a quick voice note or shooting a quick video wherever you are and then sending it in WhatsApp can be very, very helpful.
Okay, so back to your calendar and using Calendly. So Calendly is a system that integrates very well with a number of different websites. If you're using WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, what's the other one? Webflow. There's one more that's really popular that I'm forgetting. But any of those, the GoDaddy web system, all of those systems work well with Calendly. They work very, very well, where you can have your customers and clients that they can schedule themselves, and that will automatically go on your business calendar. It sets up reminders. You're not only able to have them schedule, but they can actually pay in that system, which is really powerful, especially if you're doing consultations or you're needing a deposit on a service, and maybe you had to reduce your team. There's so many different technologies that can help you to facilitate parts of your business without reducing the quality of service. So Time Trade, Acuity, and Schedule Once, all of those different systems work quite well. So before we get into the email marketing systems, Dr. Tracy, go ahead and show them Calendly.
Share. Yeah, and the reason why we like to start with Calendly, or why I'm showing you Calendly first, is because it is free to get started, whereas the other ones are pay automatically. So here's my Calendly, and you can see that there are different ways that people can connect with me. So different clients will choose, and I'll just give them the link. And then what happens is, if they have this link, so I'm just going to show you, for example, if this is the link that I give somebody, they would go into my calendar. You can set it up to make the different days available for the different types of appointments that you have. So let's say somebody wanted to meet with me on the 21st. These are the times that I have available. They would go in, they would confirm it, they would type in their information, they would schedule the event, and it'll give them the opportunity to put it on their calendar. It'll send them a reminder before and after, and you can set that up however you like. So just the back end of it, let me show you what's available. So you can change the name, of course, change what they're going to see, change the URL extension here. And then this is where you can mark out what's available for them in terms of how they can schedule with you. If I wanted to delete all Wednesdays, I could delete all Wednesdays. As you can see, like nothing is scheduled for Mondays and Sundays or Thursdays, because those are typically days where I don't have phone calls. So I don't give people access to my calendar on those days. You can ask them several questions: first name, email address. You can ask them their phone number, whatever makes sense for you. Setting up the email confirmations, and then this will give them, so I give them access to my Zoom link to make sure that they have that, and then it also sends them reminders, and you can set up reminders however you like. So all of this is, Calendly is free to start. Yes, thank you. When it's free to start, you have access to one type of booking, right?
Yeah,
and then every, like,
or 30-minute. Yeah.
And everything isn't necessarily customized. But even if you do the paid option, it's actually the cheaper one of all of the ones that we've mentioned. I think it's like $9.99 a month or something. And for this season, it could be something that you want to use. You can collect payments. This is a paid option. But if people pay to have consultations with you, or pay to schedule with you because you are a therapist or a counselor or a doctor, then you just set it up here. You can integrate it with Stripe or integrate it with PayPal, completely up to you. Tell them how much is required to book the appointment, and then what the payment terms are and all of that stuff. And that's pretty much it. And then you'll have all of the different kinds of appointments available if you're using the paid options, and then you can give people the calendar that you want them to have access to. This is also completely embeddable on your website. So if you want to just put it on your website, there's a button here that says add to website. It gives you the inline embed or a pop-up widget. So you can just literally take it, have a page on your website that says book appointment, and you get the embed code, you put it on the book appointment page, and then people can do it, and they can go through this entire system with you.
And one of the things that we do recommend, if you haven't done it already, and we'll get it, there's an actual list of things that we feel is important for you to reach out to your customers and clients to do. But something that you can do that can really deepen the relationship that you have with your clients and customers is simply give them an opportunity to talk to you. Mm-hmm. You know, let them know that in the event of COVID-19 and all that's going on, you just want to check in with everyone if you have that capability. And you can have a speak to me page on your website with Calendly or Acuity or any of these other resources, so that you can touch base with all of your people. It really makes a difference to see how you behave in this time frame, and showing your audience that you value their business is going to help you in the long run. I know a lot of businesses are thinking about, how am I going to make it through this time? Are people going to maintain their contracts? You know, what are the ways that you can show your clients and customers that you value their business? Well, making time to speak with them and hear where they're coming from, even if you're not trying to sell them anything or you're not actively working on a project right now, just let them know that you care.
Yep. And you're still there. You're like, amid all of this, we know it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of things to juggle, but your customers need to hear from you now, probably more than ever, just for that reassurance.
Yeah.
Any questions about the scheduling tools before we move into email tools? Okay, email tools. If you don't already have a system of managing emails, and we've talked about this multiple times, every training that we do with GMCVB, we always talk about email tools because we think it is so valuable to have one somewhere where all of your customers, all of your clients, you have a database that's not, just inside of your Google contacts or your Microsoft Office contacts, but this is a way for you to actually create campaigns to send to them, and regular touch points via email is very important during this time. As I'm sure you have seen, every single business that you have given your email to in the last 25 years of email being around, you probably got an email from them saying, this is how we're handling COVID-19. Well, that's something that you should be doing with your customers and clients, letting them know, just communicating with them. And we'll get into the communication points in a little bit, but if you don't already have some sort of email tool, then here are the ones that we're going to recommend. MailChimp, Sendinblue, and MailerLite are all free to get started. Some more robust than others, some a little bit easier to use than others, but all free to get started, and they are they're pay as you go. So as you get more email subscribers, then you'll pay for more. If you want more capabilities, then you'll pay for more, but free to get started, and everyone should have at least one of these. Then of course you have more robust systems like ActiveCampaign, GetResponse, and Constant Contact, which are not really necessary unless you're doing tons of like e-marketing if then campaign type things and you're using Facebook ads and things like that. Then you don't really need those. But just for communication's sake, MailChimp, Sendinblue, and MailerLite are good enough to get started with, just to communicate with your database in this season.
Yeah. So any questions as far as email tools, or if you can tell us in the chat, what email tool are you using? Are you using something that's integrated with your website? Are you using Gmail as your #1 communication? Are you familiar with MailChimp, Sendinblue, MailerLite? Tell us where your education level is, or familiarity with any of these. We know that Constant Contact has been around the longest of all of these different platforms, but we just want to get a sense of where your familiarity is.
Or if you're having questions, because when we know, where the hiccups are, then we can help you specifically with those hiccups. But if we don't, then we can't. So please let us know.
Because keep in mind, this is your time. We're not going to rush through this presentation in any way. We know that you've been inundated with information, and this is a lot of information, but this is your time to ask questions. If you're having any type of issues, let us know. We've been actively working with all of these different platforms for many, many years. One of the things that came up, or that comes up if you're using Microsoft, for example, is that you transitioning from working in your office to working at home. One of the things that you may not be aware of, especially if you're using Outlook, is that there are emails that are actually blocked from your system. And the only way to get them to come through to your email is for you to call your service provider, and they have to manually unblock some emails. And that has to do with the security systems that are and the different servers that are being used depending on where you're physically located using any of these systems. So that's something that does come up specifically with Outlook and Microsoft 360. So for example, if you're using Constant Contact, you don't have the capability to have video that's integrated inside of your email. But if you're using MailChimp, you do. So there's different capabilities for each one of these platforms. And if you've ever had any questions whatsoever, now's the time to ask him. All right, so I see here that we're using Microsoft Office, and we're using Constant Contact to communicate with your audience. Great, Anna, thanks for sharing that.
Yes, maintaining constant communication with your people is going to be integral in terms of your growth and how you're scaling, making sure that people are still aware that you are a business and that you're thinking of them in this process.
All right, so let's talk about your at-home space. So I want to make sure that you do have a quiet space, and an alternative to if you're sharing your space with many, many people is to have one of these. So get you some headphones. These are noise canceling Bose headphones. And then we already talked about the Logitech. But then we also want to look at your actual physical space of where you are in your home. So I have two office spaces in my home. I have one that's a traditional office space that is my desk, and I have multiple screens, and I use that whenever we're looking at campaigns, or if I'm editing videos, or I'm building out a campaign. But when I have a video conference, I like to sit, I call it my reading nook. If you don't know, I published a book. The name of my book is Stumbling Through Adulthood, and we actually, as a company, maintain and facilitate book tours around the nation for women authors. And when I prefer to be in this space because it's comfortable for me, because I have a nice view of the Miami scenery, because it's comfortable and I know I can be here for several hours and do a lot of work, and it's quiet. So think about that when you're deciding where you're going to set up in your house. And I know that by now you probably have just picked a spot and you may be reusing that same spot. But after this webinar, I want you to walk around your home and really think about where you're going to set up shop. Because again, this is not like a hurricane. This is a situation where we don't know how long you're going to be operating this way. So it's time to really set up your office at home. So the first couple of things that you may want to take note of, and again, in your workbook, there's space for you to make notes about the things you either need to adjust or things that you want to purchase or look into. So you want a desk or a table. I have several. Let me see. I want to be mindful here. So I have this example. Let me show it to you. Okay, so I have this table here, and this table, it's very easy to pick up, and it's a C-shaped table so that when I'm sitting at a desk or anything like that, I can slide it in front of me and I'm able to write and do well. Now I have also a folding desk that's in front of me that my computer is sitting on, and then I have another standing desk that's in my actual office, where if I want to stand and work or sit down and work, I can do that from that space. So when you're looking at how you're going to create your space, also consider where you're going to share space with others. So if you're having you have students in your home, you're sharing with your spouse or roommate, think about how you can all be in one space. You want to have a comfortable chair. So if you don't know, I happen to be pregnant, so and I'm very excited when I get to tell people that. But
I was just saying, I don't know why you're lifting all this furniture.
I know.
You're like lifting
it is very, very light. So, for me, I actually need to have a very comfortable space. So I like to sit here again because of my ability to have different pillows. I have, ergonomic different things that I can have in this space, and that's why I like to be here. My desk, also I use a footstool to keep my foot up. If you've never taken time to think about it, when you have an office desk, you are not supposed to be facing your desk right on. You're not supposed to be looking down at the screen in any way. You're actually supposed to be looking up. So your desk needs to be elevated. Your screens need to be elevated just to respect your back and to keep you in a healthy setup that way. Okay?
Yes, and there are, and I have one over here, which I can't show you because I have a big monitor that's right here, but I have a riser that I put my big monitor on, and that way I am looking up. Now, I do have neck problems. I have a tendency to get pinched nerves back there because of an accident that I had a long time ago. And so my chiropractor was specific in telling me, like, make sure that your desk is not eye level or your computer screen isn't eye level, but trying to get it to be above if you're going to be sitting there for, hours on end. I have my laptop in a different place right now just because of the webcam that I need, but most of the work that I do is on this thing right here, and I look up to it and not down on it. So keeping that in mind, because if you're working from, and this is really when you go back to the office too, like these are things that you should consider to making your work environment as comfortable as possible. If you're going to be working for hours on end at a desk, then know that you want to, maintain good posture. I have so many different things that try and help me to do that, but also a sense of comfortability, because you have to be there So making sure that you have things like ergonomic chairs, for example. I have an ergonomic chair that is, fits to how I sit. I don't have to reach for too many things. I have everything I have an L-shaped desk so that I have many different things in one particular area, whether that's water and coffee, desks, my soundboard over here, pens, pencils, everything within reach, so I'm not having to get up. And that just helps with time management too.
Yeah, and we've seen actually that when you do use multiple screens, you do increase your productivity. So that's something to consider. And again, this goes back to the policy that we've created for your team that are working from home, when you're thinking about what you're going to supply to them and what you're going to ask or suggest that they have at their homes. So the other thing is that making sure that your technology is within reach, and that you have plenty of outlets, because you're going to be using much more electricity and different tools than you would be using if you weren't working from home full time. And so one of the last things is just to make your workspace someplace that you actually want to be. And I'm sure you've noticed that the sun has been on my face here. And for me, this is key, having sunlight. And I want to recommend that for you all as you're picking where you are in your home as well. Working in a space that is dark or that doesn't allow you to have some kind of scenery or something to look at can be really challenging when it comes to your mood. I'm sure that one of the benefits of working from home is that you do have some flexibility and some decision as far as what your space looks like, and make it a comfortable space. You deserve that, especially in the midst of all of the anxiety and things that can come up, because we're all operating in the unknown.
And it's really easy to say, oh, I can work from anywhere. I'm going to work on my couch, or I'm going to work from my bed. And, I'm not going to lie. Like, there are times where I do work from my bed, and I have an actual bed desk that sits on my bed, so that I can, I have like some sort of hard surface to work from. But I also know that that's not my most productive place, right? If I need to be really productive and really present for what it is I do, then working from my bed or working from my couch or even my dining room table is not going to be the most conducive. So coming into my designated office, so this is an office space. I actually have an office room in my house. Coming into this place, I know, like, when I come into this room, work is going to get done, right? There's not a lot that I could do in here. Can't turn on TV, don't have it. Can't, just play the radio unless I'm playing Spotify. Like, don't have access to it here. The refrigerator's not in here. Like, this is a place where I know, like, mentally I'm preparing myself, because I know that when I come in here, the only thing that I can do is work. Other things that I have, I tack things up on the board here, easy for me to look at. Across the room over here, I have a big whiteboard that I put notes on, my to-do, my schedule for the day goes on the whiteboard, so I can just look up and I know kind of what's next for me. Looking up, looking down, makes it just a little bit easier than having to flip through a calendar book. Having it in front of me on a large whiteboard helps, or some sort of cork board. The whiteboard is also really good for when I have collaborative meetings, even if those are collaborative meetings online. I can, tilt the camera that way, and then we can talk, and then I can write stuff down, and that's really helpful for people on my team. So things like that can be very helpful for you when you're thinking about the fact that you're going to be at home for really the foreseeable future. We don't know when we're going to be able to go back to our offices, or in the next, probably 45 days. So just making it, even though it's temporary for some of you, and even if you've been working from home this whole time, it's a really good idea to, like, revamp your space to make it productive. So keep all of those things in consideration when you're working from home. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about our work from home space, or any needs that you have, or anything you want to talk through with regards to that before I move into the next thing? Because then we're going to be talking about social media, and this is your communication plan. All right, so if there's no questions, let's dive a little bit into social media strategy, because if you have a business, the best way for you to communicate with your people is going to be email and social media right now. If you are not present regularly on social media, and I'm going to say this, and I want you to hear me, if you're not present on social media, if you don't have a digital strategy, if you don't have a strong digital footprint during the COVID season, it is very possible that you will come out of COVID season without having any more customers and clients because you're not staying visible, especially if they're used to seeing you, they're used to coming into an office, they're used to coming into a location, and now they're not. If they don't have regular touch points, regular visibility on your business, you can lose some of the momentum that many of you have spent years building. So that's why we're going to talk about communication really from the point of social media. You know, I just wrote an article for the Miami Herald because they asked me to write about how social media has, like what role social media has played in the COVID season. And what we're finding is that social media is one of the most important things right now. You know, when we had Zika a few years ago, or swine flu a year before that, or other pandemics, there was social media that was being used. A lot of it was sharing misinformation. And most people weren't recognizing what was false and what was real. Whereas now, a lot of the governmental facilities, World Health Organization, they are using social media to communicate truth to people and to communicate protocols. So we're seeing a lot of benefit, and a lot of the malinformation or misinformation being shared kind of being segmented off to the left. And so people are using social media to communicate in much healthier ways nowadays. And not just with regards to, you know, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what are our hours, but other things as well. And we're going to talk about that because this is your customers, your clients, they are on social. We are seeing an increase of social media usage up to 76%, depending on the platform that you're on. And that means that your people are there. And if your people are there, this is a great time for you to communicate with them.
Yeah, so some of the best practices is just to make some adjustments, be ready because of the times. You know, we do not recommend going on and have a set it and forget it strategy. And things are moving really fast, so we don't want to schedule posts too far in advance. When we are hosting the workshop with GMCVB in the past, one of the things that was very helpful and is very helpful for businesses that are operating and using social media are planning and scheduling tools. And if you don't know what that is, a planning and a scheduling tool example is Hootsuite is one, Buffer is one, Planoly is an example of a scheduler. Facebook actually has a scheduler internally in their system. And what that means is that you can have a post, you can write all of your posts today and schedule them for the next year if you wanted to, or for the next month, or for the next quarter. A number of you all who had events that were going on in March, or potentially have events that are going on in June or July, you probably have a campaign right now and you want to know, well, is it okay to make the announcement that we're going to have this event? What are some things that we should be saying about to our audience? Well, first and foremost is that you have to address that COVID is going on. You need to say to your audience, we are open or we are closed. You need to say to them, do you have new business hours that are for COVID, or have you changed your hours permanently? Are you operating with a skeleton crew? You need to tell your clients and customers these things. If you have some different opportunities because of COVID-19, we have a client who operates a childcare center, and her childcare center has now been open to essential personnel, where she's able to take care of those personnel in an area where everything is shut down. That is essential information that she needs to be able to share with her audience and to people who are not customers and clients, because she can service new people. Her business is actually growing in this space. So if you're a restaurant, you can provide delivery. If you are a therapist or a doctor, or you're operating, you're going to do some type of something in hospitality, and you can do delivery services, then your audience needs to know that. So this is a time to make sure that you are being timely about what you're sharing, but also being mindful that you do need to be present.
Definitely need to be present. So with regards to campaigns that you may have already scheduled, because if you've been on social media, like Vivian said, you might already have things that are pre-planned throughout the year that you've already scheduled in your Hootsuite or your Planoly, or you already have on your calendar of things to talk about. Because of COVID and because of what's happening and social distancing, there are certain things that really are just inappropriate to be sharing right now with regards to getting together, having events. And so those aren't the things that we want to share. So you may have to take a look at your calendar. You know, Flourish did this because we have our calendars scheduled out a year in advance. So we can't have, we had an event scheduled for May, an event scheduled for June. Well, we're obviously not going to have those events. Even if social distancing ended, for us to mobilize the team, get everybody involved by May is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to take a look at things that you have in your calendar coming up or that you have pre-planned, and then say, okay, what needs to be paused? What is something that we need to not be talking about right now? What needs to stay? Are there scheduled things like maybe you have motivational quotes or inspirational things that can really, you know, be transferable to any season of life? So you might want to keep those scheduled on the calendar. What needs to be pivoted? Do you need to pivot your messaging instead of, hey, come try our new dish? Like that may need to be pivoted, and maybe you want to offer them something else, a free delivery or an idea to order in at home to try the new dish, but they can't come in to try it. They're gonna have to order it and have it delivered to them. And then of course, what's prioritized? What are things that absolutely need to be pushed out to your audience? And that includes communicating new business hours, communicating any specials or deals that you have, communicating how you are participating or contributing to relief efforts. Those are things that you do wanna prioritize in terms of your messaging, but all of that can happen in advance. If you pre-schedule out posts like we do with Flourish, then you do want to go in there and clean things up, pause things, make sure things don't go out about events that you have coming up that really are not going to be happening in the near future.
So we did have a private question talking about, is it okay to sell, period? Or should you not sell anything because of the unprecedented anxiety that people are going through? And
go ahead, you can go first.
Yeah,
I have a lot to say about that.
I know. So I was the main thing I want to say is you started your business to serve people. You service a community with the business that you share, whether that is a restaurant, whether it's art, music, event planning. It doesn't matter what it is. You started your business and have been able to sustain your business because there are people who need your services, so much so that they pay you money for the thing that you're offering. So of course, your business is still open and you still want to do business, but there's a way to do it. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Tracy. He has quite a bit to say about this.
Yeah, and I'm going to just come on camera because I really want to be very clear about what I'm going to say. Yes to what Vivian said about you started a business because you have something to help people with. The second thing is I want you to understand your responsibility being a small business in this market. All of the research that I've done, and I have my whole doctorate in this, so just to spare you the boring bits, all of the research that I've done says that small businesses contribute significantly to the growth of our economy. It is your responsibility to show up for that. And this is not legal advice or financial advice, and I think we need to say that again, but like, for example, the small business loan that's available, it is your responsibility to apply for that, because that money that you're going to get from that small business loan is going to go back into the economy. And that's really what they're trying to do, is they're trying to pump the economy with actual with currency and with transactions. And while everything that you offer is not going to be the best in this season, that doesn't mean that you don't offer anything, right? So if you have a restaurant, for example, no, you can't have people come in and dine, you can't have them come and try your special, but you can certainly have the meals be delivered. But like I said, it's your responsibility to show up. That's number one. Number two, don't deceive yourself in thinking that this is an economy that says that people aren't buying things. And I've sent this out multiple times to my audience, but like the world, they want you to think that everything is just scarce and doesn't exist. They want you to think that, yes, the toilet paper shelf, everything on the toilet paper shelves are flying off. Yeah. Everybody is stocking up. And yes, that is absolutely true, but this is not a time to like lean into scarcity and fear that our economy isn't going to be able to sustain this. We've actually sustained much worse. And you also have to realize we're like in week 2. Like this is not... We're in week 2 of this whole thing, and people think we've been at this for like 19 months. But even all of the analysts and all of the economists are saying, like, we're going to rebound pretty quickly because the money still exists that would have been spent. It's just not being spent because people can't go anywhere. You can't go to the store, you can't go to the mall, you can't spend the money. So the economy will rebound pretty quickly when we're allowed to kind of operate in real life again. Now we're going to see some dips. We've been scheduled for a dip in our market for a while. We've been in a bull market for 4 years longer than we needed to be in. So that was kind of normal when it comes to the ups and downs and the fluctuations. But with regards to the spending, that's gonna pick back up. What I'm encouraging everybody to do in this season is to think about, what do my people need right now? And then this is also not it, because we're all experiencing this. This is not a time to overthink anything. If you have something that you know can help somebody, you know that you have an idea that you've been sitting on, this is probably the time to test it out. The worst anyone's going to do is say no. What I also don't want you to do is be insensitive to the fact that people are experiencing effects from this. Are people getting laid off? Yes. And people are wanting you to be scared that people are getting laid off. But the truth of the matter is they have to be laid off so that they can get paid unemployment. Like, that's why we pay taxes, so that people can get unemployment. If they're still employed but not, like, they're not working, then they're not going to get any money. So they need to be unemployed so that they can collect unemployment. So again, money is coming back into our economy. There are actually businesses that are booming right now. Home office furniture, selling out like the masses. Patio furniture. I bet they didn't think they were going to have the best quarter of their entire life, because the patio furniture is also being sold out. The weather's getting nice. People have to set up shop to work from home. People want to work outside. So patio furniture, home fitness equipment, also being sold out right now. If you try and look, I tried to buy some kettlebells, and I have a home gym and I work out from home almost every day. And regular things that I would do, I can't do because I can't purchase them because people are buying them up. So there are industries that are booming right now. Don't be deceived into thinking that our economy cannot sustain, a few months of people not buying stuff, because that's simply not true. Now, you will be inundated with news that says, fear the worst, get the toilet paper, stock up on canned goods, right? And while you can certainly do that, is that going to be the best and the highest form of service? Is that going to be your best contribution in this economy right now? Probably not. You're going to need to take a look at your business and say, how can I contribute? It would be remiss of you to think that you started a business that was never going to face some sort of financial crisis in America. Like, we know the ups and downs of the market. We know that small businesses, can open and shut and close and all of that. We know that there are going to be dips. I mean, that it wouldn't make sense for any of us who have small businesses to think that we're not going to experience some sort of slide. But we create systems so that when we do, we can recession-proof our business, or so we can get our businesses out of it as quick as possible. But don't let everybody tell you that there are markets that are not doing very well, because there certainly are. If you work in the personal development world, listen, my calendar is fully booked in terms of being a coach, because this is the time where people are needing me the most. So anything like that, you can see some upticks in your business, and it's not, just a doom and gloom society, but anything that you can contribute in terms of selling things to get money into the market is actually part of your responsibility as a small business. And I want you to recognize that. And that's why even being on this training is a huge win, because you're wanting to get some strategy, you're wanting to get some insight into how we can make this better for all of us. But the truth is that whatever it is you're selling, people probably need it, so don't be afraid to sell it, with making sure that you're compassionate and sensitive to what's happening in the world right now. I hope that.
And as you're preparing your social media strategy and you're considering these things, deciding how you're going to respond emotionally and as a business to this pandemic, is to think about what are some of the resources that were always available to you that you never used before, that now that you're using it now, you want to continue to use it. Because we've had a number of different businesses that have always wanted to use Facebook ads and they've never used it before. And now, because everyone is online and using their social media, they're using this time to now use Facebook ads, and they're actually seeing more business. We represent
influencer marketing is another one. I've gotten every day on Monday, I got eight inbox requests for influencer marketing things, because they know, and as an influencer, and I operate as an influencer, they know that I have the attention of an audience, and they want to get that attention too. So influencer marketing is huge. If you've been considering influencer marketing, that's something that you might want to lean into as well.
Yes, and what we want you to consider when it comes to your social media, and we can go back to the slides. I want to give Petra the space in a moment here, but what we want to say is that when it comes to your social media, this is something that you're using right now, and that you want to stay away from phrases like hand in hand or reach out and touch somebody, for obvious reasons. because nobody should be touching anyone. We're practicing social distancing. And then you just want to make sure that you continue to be sensitive and to not capitalize on the the tragedy of what's going on. You want to avoid the doom and gloom, but you do need to have steady communication because you're talking to real people.
You are talking to real people. Here are things that you can be sharing.
Yeah.
Updates, and we've talked about this already. Updates, new business hours, how they can connect with you or your team or any part of your business. Any sales and promotions that you have going on. But again, you don't want to say like this is the COVID flash sale. Like that's probably not the language that we're going to use.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Participate in trendy topics. And I joke around, I'm like, I think that it's a conspiracy and that TikTok has decided to get on this coronavirus thing because now everyone's on TikTok, every celebrity. And I did a whole TED Talk last year when I talked about TikTok, and now everyone's on it. But people are participating in challenges, whether they're businesses, celebrities, even politicians, are getting on board. Doctors, all a part of this. So that's great. Give motivation to your followers by letting them know that you're with them, you're here for them, you're listening to them, and then share how your brand is helping during this time. If you're contributing to any efforts, if you're giving a portion of your proceeds away, this is a time to make that known and to celebrate.
Yeah, so as we're wrapping up here, what we want to do is just to remind you to create balance when you're at home, that you are sharing the space with your family, and for that reason, it's a good idea to have a family calendar and just have a plan of action for your family. Inside of your workbook, the last pages that you'll find there is a communication document for you and your family to just communicate what are your working hours and how are you going to manage to schedule events. We talked about in your office space that you may want to have an actual visible calendar that's up on the wall. I also have a large calendar that's up on the wall that I share with my husband here in our family to know what's happening when. And it's a good idea to have that if you don't already, because now everyone in the family needs access to the TV. We want to watch Netflix. We want to play video games. We want to be on Hulu. We want to practice. The living room is now the gym, is the office, is the everything. And it's a good idea to have a conversation with your family just so that you can minimize conflict that's natural to arise when you're in tight spaces the way we are now. So we just want to leave you with being patient with your family and being patient with everyone, not only your team members, but vendors, different people that you're—
And yourself.
Yes, and yourself, because this is truly unprecedented. No one could have predicted that the entire world would be at home trying to make it through a pandemic. Of course, we predicted it in movies, but we never thought it would be true. So please continue to be patient with yourself. And this photo here, we chose it specifically because it really allows you to see when someone can convert things that are already in your home. We've talked quite a bit about making your purchase list, but for some of you, it would make more sense to simply reuse furniture that you already have in your home. Really thinking about how you can get the most sunlight into your space so that you can keep your mood up and keep yourself paying attention. And also, having a place where you have all of your materials in one given space so that you can reach it easily without disrupting your home space. So I want to thank you so much for being here on this webinar. Before we end, we do want to give the floor to GMCVB. Thank them so much for putting this together. It's been very helpful, we hope, to all of you. And again, if you have any questions, you will get a replay of this presentation. And you can direct your questions directly to GMCVB. So, Petra, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, ladies. I certainly learned a lot, and I hope others on this virtual chat also had a chance to learn as much as I did. The Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, we understand the importance of small business and connecting with small business. So we certainly wanted to bring this opportunity to everyone. I saw also on the chat, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our president and CEO, Bill Talbert, a great leader in efforts in supporting small business. Caroline Taylor, she is our multicultural chair and also a small business operator. So she gets it, indeed, making the connections and also ensuring that we stay connected with our small businesses. Our leaders in our multicultural department, Ms. Connie Kinnard, Pam Payano, who works closely with our small business as our programs director liaison, and our coordinator, Herlinda, keeping us in the know with our newsletter and our resource guide. On your screen right now, you're seeing where the GMCVB has put together a series of resource relief efforts for everyone. We encourage you to go to our website, miamiandbeaches.com/help, and you will find so much more information. Some of what the ladies did mention around the SBA loans. If you're in the restaurant business, there's resource there as well. We're currently in partnership with Helping Hands and the United Way. They're offering a really, really robust relief effort called Operation Helping Hands. So I'm going to invite folks to visit our website. The information is very current. We update it each day. But please visit our website, miamiandbeaches.com. You can find more information and find more resource information that can really help you during these times. I want everyone to stay safe. Ladies, again, thank you for what you do. You came right in the midst of when we needed you, bringing this valuable resource to us. And that's it. I just want to applaud you for the work that you do. And we certainly will make the replay available to this audience. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I see the chat going off.
Yes,
so
the chat is, everyone's saying, thank you, good, good, good. Viv, do you want to talk about our special small business offers?
Yeah, so we do have several. One of the things that we committed to for small businesses is that, you know, we've been doing this for a number of different years, and we wanted to just be there for people because we know that we're comfortable with this. This is something that, you know, working from home is not something that's new to us. So we have a series of master classes that we're making available to any small business that's interested. They are free. They're every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We're offering them through Facebook because, as we talked about here, Facebook does allow for you to accommodate a large number of people at once. And really, we can share the information. We're doing a presentation on the perfect pitch because Flourish Media, we do host the Flourish Media Conference once a year where we connect small businesses with investors and financing options. Capital One was one of our partners this year. So we're talking about how to present your pitch to sponsors and partners. If that's something that interests you, then we encourage you to participate. I will put it in the chat. All you do is just search FMC Where Women Do Business. And the natural question is, can men attend this workshop? Of course, we're women-focused, but men-friendly always. So if you would like to participate and see that workshop tonight, or to see any of the workshops that are going to be coming between April and May, they are free. And all you have to do is join our private Facebook group. Other than that, if you would like support as far as being able to implement or to create a policy, an internal policy, your COVID continuity plan for your business, we do have a special for that, and we're using Calendly for you to schedule your call with us. We have a money back guarantee. I hope that you understand just at this time that it's very, very busy. So in order to make sure that people show up to their calls and that they're serious about getting that type of support, we do ask for $47 down, but it's money back. If you decide you don't want to move forward with getting that continuity plan built out, then we refund it right away. It's just a way for us to keep our calendar as open as humanly possible because it is quite full. So we're going to stay here for another 15 minutes and answer any additional questions that you have. We're here for you. This is your time. So if you have any questions as far as GMCVB best practices, we're so excited to have them have it on their website. You can go to their website and get that information. If you're wanting to know more about the small business loans or any of those different resources that are coming from our government, you can go to GMCVB, go to the website and get that information. And we're here for you. So this is your time.
We are.
And what we'll do is that as we're waiting, as we get to, we'll say another 5 minutes. If we don't have any questions, then we'll go ahead and end the recording, and you'll get a copy of this recording in your recap email. We'll use the email that you used to sign up for this presentation.
And I will say this, you know, I've talked to several people inside of just business in Miami who've lived in Miami for a long time, who've seen different recessions and different things happen. And one of the things that they made sure to mention is that Miami is a different kind of city than the rest of the world. And usually we bounce back pretty quickly because we do have things that help our economy a great deal, such as tourism, once we open our door, which is why when coronavirus happened all over the country, everybody tried to flock here to the beaches and we had to shut them all down. So we are optimistic in the city that we will probably bounce back a little faster than most, because we have other things available to us that will bring an influx of new people, not just locals, but new people into our city, which will flood our economy with business. And that's good news for all of us. And that's why you being present in this season matters a great deal. A question that we have in the chat is, I have a travel agency. Should I be sharing inspirational destination photos and videos? Great question, Andrea. I think what you can do is start to build engagement. That's one of the, because no one's traveling right now, right? And so maybe just putting pictures of exotic vacations that no one can go to will just frustrate them. But what you can do is say, hey, and then like, where's the first place you're gonna go after this is over and done with? Put that in the chat or put that in the comment section. What that does for your social media is it actually starts to build up engagement. And then more people will see the post that you post in the future by just asking them questions like that, because everyone's kind of thinking about it right now. Other things that you can talk about are you know, how they can navigate, like giving them how-tos. For example, people do have trips that are coming up. And if you can give them some insight into what they can do to cancel, what they can do to reorganize, what are some things that they should be considering right now, since we don't know when we can start traveling again, giving them some educational things on your social media could also be very helpful for them in this season. So maybe not, you know, like, let's go to Bali, but hey, where's the first place you're going to go after this is over? Get some engagement happening, and then give some good educational tips or informational insight in regards to your industry. When, you know, when can they start booking again? Should they be booking for things? Should they be looking at the deals that are happening with regards to the flights right now? Like, what should your people be thinking about? A great question.
Yeah, and when it comes to travel, one of the things that I've heard and therefore became very interested in was the areas in which there were $50 flights and just like deeply discounted travel.
Mm-hmm.
That would be that's an entire conversation or campaign, honestly, if you wanted to. You're very welcome.
Yeah, and what's very interesting, what's very interesting about that is that most industries actually have a huge opportunity to get people on board with something that's coming out after COVID season is over. Like if you do live events, for example, preparing your list, your email list for who's interested in doing a live event here, who's interested in doing a retreat there, like getting people on interest lists so that you know what to focus on when we can start going back to business as usual. And most industries have that available to them, but they're not really making the best use of it. So in this season, start preparing your people for what's going to come out of it. We're all coming out of this. You know, 99% of the population is going to be perfectly fine and healthy coming out of, you know, our quarantine, our shelter in place situation. Most of us are going to be great. How we come out of it, though, is going to depend on what we're doing in it. So start preparing your audience for what's to come without giving tangible dates, hard, concrete things, but just start getting people interested in stuff that you're planning on doing. Any other questions? If not, then we can go ahead and end. You know how to reach us. We will have our contact information, or you have our contact information. You definitely have our email address because we've been emailing you updates with regards to this training. So please reach out to us if you need anything. We are here for you. This is the bread and butter of what we do. And this is really what we've been trying to prepare people for, you know, for years in advance, because we never want anybody to be in a situation where they can't continue on with their small business. We're very passionate about small businesses. Obviously, we are a small business and we operate accordingly. We want people to be successful at this. So don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for joining us. Vivian and I will pop back on the screen so that you can see us. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we will be in touch shortly. Thank you.